On episode 241 of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Laurie A. Watkins and discuss her book, Go From Stressed to Strong, Health and Fitness Advice from High Achievers. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/241. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. I'd like to ask you for a small favor. I want to get to know a little bit more about you. Would you take the time to go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/survey, and you'll find a Google survey form there. Would you take just a few minutes to fill that out and let me know a little bit more about you and what your needs are? I want to make this show the best I can for you, and this survey will really help make sure that I'm on point to give you the best service I possibly can. Now, our guest today has served on 2 presidential campaigns. She's worked on Capitol Hill and the Pentagon, and she's been a guest speaker at the West Point Military Academy. So a very, very high-achieving lady. And, the cool thing about this book is, even though she's sharing her personal story, which I love, she's also interviewing some really fascinating, high-achieving individuals to get their take on how they deal with different health and fitness issues. So if you think you're too busy to work out, if you think you're overstressed, this woman has some of the best advice going. So with no further ado, here's Laurie A. Watkins. So Laurie, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you for having me today, Alan.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The title of your book really resonated with me because, I've spent most of my time, I guess you'd say, classed as a type A hard driver for my career, a little less focused on other things in my life that I've come around to understand are much more important than that career. So I really did like the title, Go From Stressed to Strong.
Yes, it's a problem that a lot of people seem to be struggling with, and I struggled with it myself and overcame challenges and was able to develop tips and tools for not only myself to survive, but I shared them with others around me. And that's kind of what encouraged me to write this book, is that I wanted to help people and not keep all of this information to myself. And if it worked for me, I think it can work for other people. And so I hope to share some of those tips and tools with your viewers today.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I really did like about the book, is it has some practical advice, quite a bit of it that, when you line these things up over time, are going to add up to substantive changes in your health and just your general well-being.
Yeah. So the message that I'd like people to receive about going from stress to strong is just that: stressed, worn down, tired, not feeling like you have control over your day, to being strong, which means being more actively engaged, productive, sleeping better, eating a better diet, moving more by exercising regularly, and having deeper insights.
Now, in the book, you kind of went from, I guess, just kind of like I was in my career, is just kind of the frazzled go until it's time to stop and then try to get some sleep and then come back tomorrow and do it all over again. But what you found was kind of building routines was what works for you and would work for everybody. It's kind of what I've started doing in my life, putting together a routine to know that, okay, this is when I do this and this is how I do that. And this is how I know, I'm getting everything I need. You have 20 keys to building a routine that you co-developed with Stacy Colino. Would you mind sharing those with us and then highlighting some of them that you think are more important for us to consider on the front end?
Sure. I collaborated with Stacy. She's a health and wellness reporter. She's also co-author of Good Food, Fast and Strong is the New Skinny. And we came up with 20 key points that we feel that will, develop a routine and make things a lot easier for people. And I think the first place that people need to start is by really recognizing their habits and what they're doing. So part of my Command Your Day Now mini course that I also have available right now on my website is the first step is to go through what you do on a daily basis all day long. And then the next day, I want you to really analyze that and look at what you were doing, whether that was, spending 45 minutes on social media on your phone, whether that was watching too much TV, whatever that was. And I guarantee you I can get you back 10 hours in your work week. Well, that starts by realizing what you can eliminate and what you're tolerating that you might not want to do, but you either feel guilted into it, or it's something that you have to do, or you're helping somebody else, but you continue to do it and it's not helping you thrive at all. So these 20 points, the first one I would say is start an exercise routine first thing in the morning. And I say that because it's really easy for people with high performing, stressful jobs to get caught up in the daily schedule that might be without, not within their control. Things pop up, meetings pop up. If you have children, what if you had to go pick them up early from school or one of them was sick? By doing something in the morning, you can cross off, one action off your to-do list by getting your workout done in the morning. If that's not the kind of schedule that you keep, whether you work night shifts or whatever, you need to develop a routine and time that works for you. But the key is being consistent with it, not changing the time every day, putting that on your calendar and sticking to it and making it like an appointment on your phone, your smartphone, your calendar. And it makes sure that coincides with your work calendar. The two should not be separate, because if they're not speaking to one another. And that's how, you can overbook, and then guess what's the first thing to be thrown out the window? It's your workout. So do something physical for 20 to 30 minutes. Anyone who has a demanding job, whether my experience started out as on a campaign trail and then moving into working at the Pentagon, but whether you're working for a company or just challenging work and family juggling act, just start with some form of exercise, even if it's 20 to 30 minutes a day. It really should make you feel empowered to jumpstart your day like that. And it's almost like a note to self. I'm taking good care of myself today. You should honor yourself, respect yourself, and give yourself some personal time to start out your day in the right way. If your schedule prevents you from doing a physical activity first thing in the morning, like I said, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up, but just make sure you get it done at some point. I offer a tip for an easy way for people to do it at work. You can do it with colleagues. You can do it on your own. Take what I call a noon walk, which is walk a mile during lunch or any time that you can carve 30 minutes out of your calendar during that day. Maybe you're on a conference call that you don't anticipate having a speaking role as much as you would, and you're more of in a listening mode. Put on your headset and go outside and go for a walk. Why do you have to do it sitting behind a desk? I would say just get started. So for most people, getting started is the hardest part, right? So sometimes it's simple fear of the unknown, moving out of your comfort zone and into a place where you don't know really what to expect. But if you make one true effective measure every single day, it's really important. So 10 minutes. Sometimes, I don't feel like going to the gym, but once I get there and I start working out and that warm-up's over, my heart rate's going. I'm into it. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what's next. And those 10 minutes just flew by. So if you just start out doing something, more than likely you're going to continue to do it. Give it time. Keep your workout fresh. Make sure that it's something that you're interested in, because if you're not jazzed by it, you're not going to show up, right? So when it comes to changing your habits, quitting smoking, stopping drinking, developing a better diet, it may take up to 4 to 6 months to get over the hump of really sticking to your new routine because you developed a new habit. So one of the tricks is making it stick, so you have to keep this new routine non-routine. So keep it interesting, like I said. Keep it fresh. It's kind of like a food rut. If you eat the same healthy lunch day after day, it gets pretty monotonous and tiring. So expand out of your comfort zone, keep it fresh, and vary what you're doing. Avoid the guilt. Take time for you. This is something I really stress to people. What are you doing for yourself on a daily basis? And I mean really self-care, making sure that you are either working out, getting that 60 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes to yourself. Maybe that's taking 15 minutes at the beginning of your day instead of waking up and checking your phone or your email. You set your intentions for the day. What do you want to accomplish? What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? With your kids, with your coworkers, every day people are doing things for others and just running in the motion. And when I ask people, how much time did you take for yourself? And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier of making a list of all the things that you do in one day. And I guarantee you that most people, they look at their list and there's no time on that list that they took for themselves. So It's really important to take time and do things that are going to help your overall health and wellness. Make your workout work with your job. One way to avoid coming up against a challenge at work is to explain to your boss, supervisors, that you really need this time and that working out allows you to be your most productive self. So even for companies, whether that's corporate America, whether that's you work for the government, whether you're, a teacher, a stay-at-home mom, it doesn't matter. There's benefits to everyone around you when you are your healthiest self. So benefits to the company itself, the organization, there's benefits to your boss, there's benefits to productivity. In the face of resistance, I recommend you just toss it back at your boss and say, hey, since I can't do this first thing in the morning, when is a good window for me to do this instead? Maybe there's a way to move the lunch meeting an hour later so you can go to work during lunchtime. Brand it as a workplace wellness issue and ask your supervisor or your boss for suggestions on how to make that work so everyone is happy.
Because in the end, if they're paying any portion of your healthcare costs, it's in their best interest to make sure you stay healthy. And if you're staying healthy, you're not going to miss as much work. And so, there's a myriad of reasons why I think the business is going to benefit from you being a healthier individual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And make your routine a priority. So making it your number one priority is very important. You have to make it number one every day. You shouldn't be rigid, but allow some flexibility because we all know too well that life throws us curveballs all the time in whatever we're doing, and we've got to have a contingency plan. So, for example, if you just cannot work out first thing tomorrow morning, which has happened to me many times because I have a super early meeting and I have to be there maybe the time that the first class is available at the gym. So I just know I can't go. When can I do this? So I look at my schedule and I don't do it that day. I do it the day before or 2 days before. As soon as that appointment is scheduled that I know it's going to conflict with my workout, I readjust that day. That's how important my workout is to me. So when can I do this? You ask yourself. Look at your calendar. Try scheduling in your smartphone or your appointment book like it's a doctor's appointment. If you add it to your electronic calendar, like I was mentioning before, make sure you sync it with your work calendar to avoid scheduling meetings or appointments around that time with yourself. I can't go to the gym tomorrow from 6 to 7 like I usually do. So after my morning meetings are over, I'm going to cut out of the office from 10 to 11 and go to the gym. Make that sacred time and look for ways to make it work given the hand that you're dealt. If you take control and make sure that happens, it's going to happen. So making sure your workout is a priority is crucial. And think about these two things. If you don't make yourself a priority, honestly, nobody else is going to. It's totally up to you. And the second is if you take good care of yourself, you're going to be in a better position to take care of the people around you, whether it's at work, with your family or friends. Self-care is essential and non-negotiable because if you are unhealthy and don't have enough energy to take care of the things you committed to, you're going to be in a difficult position and start to feel, again, like you're just running through the motions on a daily basis, not having control over your life and your schedule. Stop making excuses and start saying yes. So we always hear the excuse given when avoiding a challenge of not having enough time. I'm too busy. I just don't have anyone to help me with picking up my kids. I hate working out alone. Those are some of the common excuses, right? So for the most part, people don't feel like they're letting someone down if they have a workout buddy. And for me, I have to tell you that is why I was interested in CrossFit when I first started 6 years ago, is because it was a group atmosphere and a class that I felt accountable to those people, to my coach. Now, for me, had I tried to go work out in even the gym I had in my building, I never used it really because I didn't want to work out alone. I needed somebody to push me. I wanted to push myself against other people, given that I have a little competitive streak. So when you work out with other people, you're being held accountable, and it's easier to say to yourself, no, I'm not going to work out today if you weren't supposed to meet another person. You see what I'm saying? So that's an important step, I think. And schedule smart. Schedule yourself more smartly. Sometimes there's going to be trade-offs that you're going to have to face. So I used to do this in DC when I lived there for 6 years. I mean, the events and parties and social gatherings that you're almost required to go to can be really excessive at times. And so you have to schedule yourself more smartly. So if you've decided not to go to happy hour with your colleagues because you have a yoga class you want to hit up after work instead, don't feel guilty about that. That's your time. And that's important that you go and do those things. Happy hours will always be there. Often you'll have to say no to things in order to say yes to a new habit. So really force yourself to do a reality check and then write down all the places where you feel your attention currently resides and try to eliminate those. Like, I don't have time to exercise because I have too much to do and never have enough time. 2, I have young kids. 3, I'm so tired all the time and would rather get my sleep. I want people to go down that list and ask themselves, is this true? And how can I get around these obstacles? And that was what I was mentioning before, again, about starting that list of really being cognizant of where you are spending your time on a daily basis, that 24-hour period. Everyone's given the same amount of time. How do we choose to spend that time? So only answer crucial email first thing in the morning. So if you're one of those people that you get up and the first thing you do is check your phone, answer only crucial email, only those that are really pressing, and do that for 10 to 15 minutes and everything else can wait. Have your coffee, do your thing, make sure you eat breakfast and get those out of the way and move on. So eat right to avoid falling flat is another important point I'd like to highlight, which is as you start to integrate physical fitness into your routine, it's extremely important and based on the individual. So don't get discouraged. Start out slow, like I said, starting one thing at a time, and make sure you eat some breakfast. So for me, when I work out in the morning, I don't really like to eat a lot of breakfast because it's just doesn't sit well with me. But everybody is different, but you should at least try to eat something before you work out, whether that's a banana, have some oatmeal, and some water for sure. Stay fit on the road if that's part of your problem because you travel a lot for work. I know I had a lot of challenges with that, with routines, and especially if you were traveling overseas with different time zones, even, East Coast to West Coast. If you're doing that quite often, it's hard to stay in the same routine as far as your circadian rhythm and sleep patterns and all of those things. But there's ways to do it. So staying fit on the road, there's so many routines out there. I highlight some of those in my book as well that you can do right in your hotel room with little to no equipment at all. You can work out in hotel gyms. Try taking a class that's being offered maybe somewhere around or in the city that you are visiting. My thing that I like to do was run in the cities that I was visiting, and how I got to explore places when I didn't have a lot of downtime due to work trips was I would put on my running shoes and I would just start running around the city or the town and exploring that way. So you can still maintain a routine. You can work out in different ways. You can do meditation. There's a bunch of different applications that you can download for workouts, meditation, yoga. There's so many different options now. It's kind of hard to really come up with an excuse, but you've got to start somewhere. And that's another important point. So do more today than you were doing yesterday and start building from there. You guys can work up to any goal you set for yourself, but you must start somewhere. So if you're really out of shape and unhealthy and you feel burned out from work, doing a 30-minute workout in a gym may seem like the most impossible thing, but I promise you that if you start out by going on a 10 to 15-minute brisk walk, it'll start getting your heart rate up. You'll start feeling good. Your energy levels should go up. And this doesn't have to be done all at once. The key is just to get started. So the good health guideline is to do 30 minutes of physical activity most days of the week. That's what people prescribe, right? With a minimum of 4 days a week. Most people don't do that. We all know that. And we need to get better about it. So it doesn't need to be 30 consecutive minutes in a day. Just try and do 3 10-minute workouts. And make sure you stay hydrated and drink plenty of water. That's going to help you with your sleep. It's going to help you with digestion. It's going to help you with when you feel hungry or not. And if you don't like the taste of plain water, there's so many different healthy options out there. 0 to soda, guys, 0. Drink seltzer water, club soda, broth-based soup, bone broth is really big right now. Drink seltzer water, like I said, or unsweetened tea, or use a fruit diffuser. So throw some fresh fruit, like orange slices, cucumbers, lemon slices in water. You can even put that in your water bottle when you are on the go. And fresh fruit contains a lot of water, especially watermelon and coconuts. You can get it through those foods as well. Limit your food intake after dark. So don't eat a big meal after 10 p.m. and go to bed at 11 because whatever you've just eaten will be sitting in your stomach, which is not good. So some people eat dinner at 6 and don't go to bed for a few hours later. But if you usually find yourself hungry by the time you crawl into bed, it's okay to have a bit of a snack later in the evening, but make sure it's really light. And no spicy, fatty, or fried foods, and nothing too rich, creamy, or heavy, or anything that contains caffeine, because you're going to be stimulated by that and it's going to affect your sleep patterns. So try not to eat those things close to bedtime. And the common theme or the common tip that most people probably hear is, you should eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. So you want to front load the day with calories and healthy nutrition while you're up and active and moving throughout the day, while having the rest of your day to burn the calories off. And how you can do that is prepare your meals in advance. So use your smartphone or a journal or a notepad that you keep with you to keep a running grocery list. And when you think of things, keep adding to it. And when you buy something, delete it. Try cooking a lot of staples. I try to do this on Sundays and then parse them out for different dishes during the week. So I can make a whole chicken. And out of that chicken, I might get 4 or 5 meals over the next 3 or 4 days, whether that's making soups, whether that's putting it back into like a chicken salad, a healthy chicken salad, or whether that's putting it into a paleo or Whole30. I like to cook like that with, barbecue, a homemade barbecue sauce. There's so many different ways you can parse your meals out through the week, or you can make a big pot of ground turkey and tomato sauce for pasta sauce and make enough of it so you can use some in tacos, chili, a rice dish, or over pasta during the week. Now you have at least 3 dinners that are easy to grab and go. Roast a bunch of vegetables that same Sunday and then parcel them out as either side dishes for something else to make during the week, or you can combine them in different ways by adding different grains, sauces. That way you don't get sick of having the same meal over and over, which I was talking about earlier, of keep things fresh. Have a morning ritual. Having a morning ritual can be extremely helpful, and it lends a sense of comfort in a way that's good as you start your day. So if you notice that you feel better when you have a healthy breakfast in the morning, I guarantee you will continue making that a priority and start of your morning routine. You are going to feel better. You're not going to get those hunger pains that you start getting at 10:30, 11 a.m., wishing that it was lunchtime already. And then when you finally eat lunch, you're overeating because you're so hungry because you never ate anything in the morning. So let's try and avoid doing that. You're going to want to make that part of your routine in the morning. Take time for you. Allowing yourself time just for you is really important. So after a busy day, make sure you give yourself a wind down period. So similar to like a cool down during a workout. Try taking a relaxing bath, let your mind wander, meditate, write in a journal, or just do some general stretches. Review the highlights of the day before you go to sleep. What went right for you today? What did you feel good about? And try keeping a gratitude list. I think this is really important to also celebrate the achievements you have on a daily basis. I know I'm pretty tough on myself and I do so much that I think for most people, you check one thing off your list and then you keep going because you have more to do. And sometimes we don't take a beat, take a moment and pause and really celebrate those accomplishments that we've made with ourselves and what we're doing. So that's important. And don't bring your device to bed with you. I was talking about sleep earlier. A lot of people bring their digital devices into the bedroom. And this isn't just a phone. It could be your laptop also. This really is not a good idea. So try turning your smartphone off. But if you absolutely have to have it on because you have the type of job that you have to keep it close, try placing it in another room. That way you'd have to get up to go get it. And try not to bring your laptop to bed. Create boundaries. Otherwise, it will suck the life out of you. I tell people if you eat in bed or watch TV in bed or work on your computer in bed, you're signaling to your brain that this is not a place to rest. This is a place to be stimulated. This is a place for activity. And so when you try to go to sleep, you're confusing your brain because you're doing different things that are counterproductive to one another. You're confusing yourself. Remain motivated and repeat. You have to realize that each one of us are a work in progress, and the same goes for our routines. So be willing to fine-tune them. Like I was saying about your schedule, if you usually work out in the morning, but on Thursday you have a meeting that starts at 8 a.m., so that's going to thwart your plans of that morning workout. You make time during that day, you find a time to put that workout back into your schedule. So remain motivated and repeat. And if you have trouble, staying motivated, try or sitting still and being intentional with your thoughts for that day, Try meditating. Sometimes if I feel stressed out, I turn on some music. Even if it's in my office, I just turn the computer off, put on some music, and sit there for about 10 minutes to kind of like clear my mind, get readjusted, and try to center myself the rest of my day. But there's no one size fits all regimen for everybody. You've got to make it work with your job, your family, your priorities, and what's going to work for you. And this isn't going to happen overnight. So you have to be willing to experiment. But once you find what clicks, repeat, and you're on your way.
Awesome. So that's a lot of information. And obviously, some of us are going to have to listen to this again, but you're going to do a cool thing and share this chapter of your book with us, aren't you?
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that, because I want everybody to know you can head to my website, which is laurieawatkins.com. And I am giving this chapter, Get Out of Bed and Fall Into a Routine, away for free. So check that out. And if you like what you read, you find it helpful, I really encourage you. I hope you buy my book, Go From Stress to Strong.
And I'll have a link to that as well in the show notes. So this is episode 241. So if you go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/241, I'll have a link to Laurie's site so you can go get that free chapter. And it's well worth it. As you just heard, there's a ton of great information just in these tips that can kind of get you started on a routine. Now, Laurie, one of the concepts you had in the book, which I love, is this concept of treating your body like a bank account with regards to how you look at clean food and dirty food. Could you take a couple minutes and kind of go through that concept with us?
Sure. So if people aren't familiar with the term 80-20, that's kind of what I like to keep for myself as far as a diet, if you want to call it that. And by an 80-20, I mean 80% of my diet is either paleo, Whole30, really clean eating, right? And the other 20% is whatever I want. And that's called having control and freedom over food. And it took me a long time to get there. This did not happen overnight. But how I started getting really health conscious about the food and the ingredients and what I was putting into my body happened after I started focusing on my fitness and I joined a CrossFit gym back in 2010. And I'm not saying CrossFit's for everybody. I know I encourage people just to work out. But my example is, in the CrossFit community, there's a lot of talk about paleo. And at the time, Whole30 was just coming out. And I heard all these people saying, are you paleo? Are you paleo? I didn't know what this meant. And so I tried it out because a lot of the people that were thriving and lifting heavy weights and just looked really fit at the gym were on this diet. So I checked it out. And it changed my whole way of thinking, because if I'm going to bust my hump for an hour doing a grueling workout early in the morning from 6 to 7, I'll be damned if I'm going to sit in a meeting at a briefing and eat 3 donuts out of the box that's sitting on the conference table in front of me. So you see what I mean? It made me really focus on what I was putting into my body. So I started thinking of my body as a bank account, and I tried to put it into the simplest terms, which really helped me think about how I was attacking food. So your ticket to a lean, healthy body is eating clean. That's what I prescribe and recommend. And that means embracing foods like vegetables, fruits, and healthy proteins and fats. And by healthy fats, I mean things like, nuts. Avocado is really great, but it also means cutting back, or my recommendation, eliminating dairy, refined grains, added sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats. So my analogy goes like this: clean food equals money. And the more clean food you deposit into your bank account, which is your body, the more money you have to spend. So if dirty food equals a withdrawal from your bank account, then that means every time you eat dirty food, you have less money to play with or spend. And less clean food in your account to cover any emergencies or rainy day activities like cheat meals. And I use that term cheat meals because it's easy for people to understand, but it shouldn't be a cheat meal. If you want to eat it, you should eat it, but only because you're doing all of the other things that you're supposed to. And by that, I mean supposed to, taking care of your body. And it's like taking out a small withdrawal. Now, if you're a person who has perpetually not put themselves first, or their health or their wellness, and they're overweight, or they have chronic pain issues or health issues, or they get triggered by eating and they're overweight and just not taking care of themselves, I'm going to be honest, but you need to be honest with yourself. It's going to take more time to build that bank account back up, but you've got to start somewhere. And so I mention this because sometimes people will see me either post on social media, or I'll post like a picture of an epic donut or a cannoli or something like that. And I do that because I'll have a bite or two bites, or maybe I do eat the whole cannoli, but I don't feel bad about it because I know that I have enough in my reserves to handle that. So I can afford that withdrawal, taking away points, money, whatever you want to call it, from my bank account to eat that cannoli.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the cool thing about this as I was going through it, because I've had other individuals on that they're more of the all-in kind of person. They know themselves well enough to say, I can't make those negatives into my food bank because then I'm just going to start doing a bunch of negatives and I'll lose control. But if you're someone who actually knows how to do that or practices and learns how to do that, this is an excellent way of looking at food in a way that's just not saying, I can't eat that or I shouldn't eat that. It's really okay, I've been really good and diligent, and now here's an opportunity for me to enjoy this birthday cake with my family. I'll have a couple bites and that'll be my negative for today. But I know all the positives I've done over the course of the last weeks and months are going to put me in a position where this is not going to derail me or cause me any problems.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, for a lot of people, I struggled with this also, but it takes addressing issues with your colleagues or your coworkers and just making it known that don't hide the fact that you eat healthy. Why are you afraid to show that? And by that, I mean, there's a lot of office parties with cakes, right? Every month, sometimes every other week. And I hear from a lot of folks that that's an area that they struggle with, is they could be doing so well on their diet or their new reset that they're doing, right? And maybe it's, say, they decided to, as a New Year's resolution, to get healthy. People have a birthday. There's a party at the office. It's January 25th. They've been doing so well, but everyone's eating and passing around a plate with a piece of cake on it. And you don't want to be that guy or that woman to not celebrate your coworker, right? So you either take it or you don't, but you feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad. And so I mention that because I had to let people know at the office, while I appreciate and celebrate this person and I'm here, right, celebrating and singing happy birthday to them, I don't have to eat the cake. And when it's my birthday, that's when I'll enjoy the cake, kind of a thing. So don't be afraid to let people know, because you can't fault them for not supporting you if they don't know what your goals are, what your plan is. And it's possible, just like any bankruptcy, when we were talking about the bank analogy, for a relief assistance program, which is to work hard at eliminating the debt, right? So following the rules of the program, or you risk default. So eventually you'll have to be able to create some cash reserve, climbing out of that hole you felt buried in, no longer allowing that food to control you. And that's when you're going to witness real results.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, with all that we've talked about today, we want to convince people to start moving a little bit more and working out. And in the book, you share 7 additional tips specifically about working out. Could you take a little bit of time to go through those 7 tips?
Sure. So be honest with yourself. Again, like I said, this is not going to happen overnight, but you need to remember that so you don't get discouraged. And I promise you'll feel the difference immediately if you just try and follow some of these 7 tips, which the first one is to work out efficiently. Pick a type of workout that you can do from almost anywhere. So whether you're traveling or getting home late from the office, this should be a form of exercise that doesn't require much planning or equipment. And since your time is valuable, you can't waste 1 second on a bad workout. The good ones are tough enough to plan for, right? So running, body weight exercises, Tabata training, yoga, these are all stellar choices. And in terms of preparation, there's many things you can do to improve your efficiency and strength during the workouts. Make sure you are well rested, that you have enough energy, your playlist is ready to go, and you always have enough water to drink before and after. Another good tip is signing up, a recommendation I have for people, and I've already personally signed up for 2 this year, one's in a couple months, are signing up for competitions as motivation. Starting something new can be a big challenge for most people. Sticking with it, right, is always the bigger challenge. So when we're trying to motivate ourselves to exercise regularly, competition can be just the right thing to light a fire underneath us. So I signed up for 2 races. I signed up for I live in Northern California, so I'm going to do the Squaw Valley Tahoe 8-miler in June. And then I'm also going to do the Big Sur half marathon in November.
That's a beautiful run. I did the marathon, the Big Sur marathon years ago, but yeah, it is a beautiful run. You're going to enjoy that.
Yeah. And when I set those milestones or those lamppost goals, for myself, I have something to look forward to. So I know that in the next few weeks, I need to start really amping up my running, my strength endurance portion of my workouts to prepare me for this race. When I get close to August, I'm going to start preparing for the half marathon. These things give me checks and they help me with my overall workouts as well. So starting something new and just trying to sign up for it and sticking to it, that's going to make you commit. The desire to get fit by X date should certainly get a person motivated.
Yeah, I'll be doing the Spartan Super in June in Chicago. So that's kind of my thing. I do the mud runs and about every other year, I'll make sure I get at least one of those challenges put in there.
Yeah, I've done a Tough Mudder. It was pretty challenging.
Yeah, I've done two, but yeah, they are.
Yeah. And no one's going to know more than you if you don't put in the training time. And I think that's important to mention. So don't kid yourself, right? If you set that goal for yourself, no one's going to know more than you when you show up for race day and you're not prepared, you're not ready. So being self-motivated is hard, and try sweating it out for donations to your favorite charity. Think of it that way. Do something for a cause. Do it with colleagues or friends. Become accountable to people other than yourself. The third step I offer a tip for is making a schedule and committing to it. So don't fold under pressure like some people do, like we were talking about earlier, right? That some meeting comes up or your boss wants you to work on something late at the office. You need to guard that time like a mother bear guards her cubs and say, no, I can do that when I get back from the gym. Because guarding your own time and sometimes being a little bit selfish, I think is going to be the key to keeping your stress in check for managing your day, because you need to be able to relieve that tension somehow and get it out in a healthy way. And so feed your body junk food and make all the excuses you can think of to avoid exercising. You can do it that way, which I don't recommend because you'll continue feeling stressed out and burned out like you do. Or you can start eating right and working out regularly and with purpose and be on a better path to really taking control of your own self-care. Satisfy your own likes and dislikes. So make it easier on yourself by choosing a form of exercise that not only fits your schedule, but your lifestyle and personality. So like we were talking about before, how I admitted that I like the class aspect of it to hold me accountable. Do you prefer working out on your own or being part of a group exercise? If you do like working out on your own, you can set your own schedule and pace and workout location. But if you're someone like me who needs motivation, then having a coach that helps keep you accountable is maybe something that's going to work for you. I recommend joining a gym class. So whether it's spinning, yoga, CrossFit, Pilates, dance, don't be afraid to experiment until you find what works for you. I mean, there's things out there now called ClassPass where it's a really cool concept that you don't have to commit to more than one or even a week's worth of classes at a time to a gym. You can spread it around, spread the love around, maybe go to spinning and yoga and Pilates one week. And then the next week you hit up a Zumba class or you go to a kickboxing or cardio class. Make it interesting. And I realize that people may feel self-conscious. So I recommend, if they're just starting out, so I recommend choosing a beginner class or starting at home with one of those convenient online streaming options that I mentioned until you feel more confident. There are tons of resources on the web that offer these classes. Some are free, some are low-cost monthly subscriptions, and they're guaranteed to get you good and sweaty. So try some of those. Start with one thing. It's better to choose something over nothing. So take a few minutes to think about what it is that you would like to change about yourself, making it easier to reach your goal of improving your health and identity. Do you want to be able to cook healthy meals during the work week? Do you want to be able to work out in the morning before heading to the office? Do you want to lose that stubborn weight around your midsection? What's stopping you? You've got to determine what it is that you want, and it's time to start working on that with small, realistic wins, proving to yourself that you can change and are capable of making healthier, more impactful choices. So start by picking one part of that new identity and focusing all of your effort and willpower on it. And for me, my goal for 2017, I also at the beginning of every year, I keep it in my smartphone, and I've been doing this for a few years now. I remember when I put get my book published on there last year, and I was able to check it off. And imagine that sense of accomplishment, right? That if you put something like that, you manifest it, you visualize it, you ask for it, you constantly put it out there, it can happen. And so for me, it might sound silly, but my fitness goal for this year is to get a handstand. I've been working on it. I work out after my workout. I put in extra time to do some of the movements and segments that I need to do to help strengthen me in different areas of my upper body to be able to do that. So that's something that I'm working on. So like I mentioned it before, maybe it's quitting smoking. Maybe it's trying to lose weight. These are all realistic goals that you can achieve if you just start changing some of your habits and routines and following some helpful steps and tips. And so for those people who keep neglecting themselves and putting their health and well-being with the excuse that you just don't have time, energy, resources, and accept that you can't do it alone, that's really important. You need support and you need to ask for help. You can't do everything alone. You can't accomplish everything alone in your schedule. There's just too much to do. People need to ask for help. So whether that's having somebody watch your child or joining a gym where there's daycare so you can get that workout in, or going walking with a neighbor because they also have a similar age child and you can walk strollers together, right? There's all different kinds of ways that you can accomplish these goals of yours. And if you don't have the resources to hire a trainer, I recommend people asking a friend for assistance. Try running with a neighbor, coworker. Just don't be afraid to ask for help, because all it takes is one change in habit to create that positive difference to remain motivated for success. The sixth tip that I offer is if you don't measure it, it doesn't exist. So what I was talking about, building lists or writing down goals, measuring your activity levels and keeping notes on your progress can help you stay on track and realize when you're stumbling before that habit is completely gone. Paying attention to how your body is responding to your fitness program can also help you make the changes and tweaks along the way. So whether your goal is to lose weight or gain muscle, you'll find it easier to stay on course with some of the tracking systems in place. So here are some recommendations to make tracking your progress easier. So the first one is like taking time to take a before and after picture with the same pose, same outfit, making sure to timestamp each photo. Keep a journal, write down the workout and result. If you lift weights, this will help you remember the appropriate weight for next time, so you're not potentially setting yourself up for injury, right, if you put too much heavy weight on. Also, keep a list of your personal records. So I do this every single day at the gym. There's different gyms, fitness centers have different programs. For a lot of CrossFit gyms, it's called Wattify. And you record all of the weights that you have, and it keeps a tally for you so you know if you hit a PR, personal record, or not. And when you do that, I can't even tell you how amazing that feels. It sets me off in such a positive way for the rest of my day that I achieved something like that I never thought that I could do. So write it down. That way, again, you know when you're accomplishing something. If you don't write it down, you're not going to know. Weigh yourself. I do not recommend doing this often at all, because I think you really risk the chance of driving yourself crazy. So do this at certain milestones, 30, 60, 90 days to track your progress. Do not live on that scale. Most people, I recommend to them, go by the fit of your clothing. And I say that because when people are starting to lose weight, but they're working out, they might not be losing the numbers, the lbs, right? But it's muscle now. They've turned that fat into muscle. So some people get discouraged. They say, why hasn't my number changed? Well, I guarantee you've lost fat and you've gained muscle. You're turning that fat into good stuff. So pay close attention to that so you can monitor your progress. Pay attention to your circumference measures. So take them at different milestones. So track your waist, hips, abdominal girth. This is helpful if your weight hasn't changed like I was talking about, but you've dropped 1 or 2 pant sizes, but your weight is the same. This is going to help you understand why that's happening. Use a mobile app. These are ideal assistants for health, fitness, and weight loss because they're always with us and quite personal. I use Apple Watch, and you can use a Fitbit, a Jawbone. There's a Misfit or Garmin or Move Now. There's so many different helpful options out there, but you have to wear them basically 24/7 or, take it off. I take my watch off when I go to sleep, but it's really helpful in tracking your progress. And the last tip I have for people is don't be afraid to ask for help. I've mentioned this a few times during this interview. There are many possible reasons that might be influencing your reluctance to seek help from others. And one is your concern that people are possibly viewing you in a way that you don't agree with or that's negative and you don't want to inconvenience somebody. Well, if you battle with fears or rejection or have a tendency toward perfectionism, like I do, all these motivations can cause you to avoid accepting help. So don't do that. Fear of failing or being seen as a failure, just cancel those thoughts out of your head. People are here to help, and they'll see that you want to make a change within yourself. And I promise people will be encouraging with that. If you're a professional or business owner, you may be worried that needing help can demonstrate a lack of professionalism or even be seen as a sign of weakness, right? Consequently, you might feel that someone not handling their own affairs is inferior and incompetent. Well, the same goes for managing your exercise schedule, health, and wellness. I mean, it's really important if you're struggling with personal issues like time management or finding motivation to work out. Asking for help is not limited to just your immediate close circle of friends, but to a larger support network. So talk to other professionals. They've probably been through the same problems and would be happy to help you. They have a wealth of knowledge, and it's quite possible that their experience might give you that extra dose of perspective that you need to start making progress. The point I want to make is not to limit yourself in whom you can ask for help. Really take a hard look at what resources are available to you and who can help you accomplish your goals, and make the very most of them. And the last point I want to make is don't let pride or fear get in the way of gleaning everything you can from your workout experience. Taking the time to identify what you need and how to get it is never a waste of time. This is your life, and it's up to you to get the most from this experience. So go out there and get it done.
Awesome. And there's so many practical tips in this book that I would like for you to go out and look at it. It's called Go From Stress to Strong. There's also some recipes. I'm going to be trying that oyster stew recipe next time I get down to the coast for sure.
Oh, yeah. From Hank's Oyster Bar. Yeah, Jamie Lee, the chef, she shared that with us. So it's pretty delicious.
That's awesome. I am looking forward to it. So, Laurie, if someone wanted to reach out and get in touch with you, get the book and all of that, I know we're going to also have a link to get the free chapter, but where would you like for me to send them?
Yeah, please head to my website, everybody, and join my email subscription. It's laurieawatkins.com. So that's LaurieAwatkins.com.
Again, we'll have that in the show notes at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/241. So, Laurie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Alan. And I just want to remind everybody to stay strong.
Awesome. Wow. Laurie shared a ton of great tips. Now, you can go to her website at laurieawatkins.com, and it's real easy to see the link to get that free chapter, or you can just listen to this episode again. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we have best-selling author Dr. Sarah Gottfried, and we discuss her book, Younger. You're not going to want to miss this one. Until then, have a happy and healthy day.